about you that I have with us Bernard Robin, and I'm very glad and I'm very thankful that he accepted my invitation to join and have an expert talk with you. So Bernard is an associate professor of learning, design, and technology in the University of Houston, far away. And actually, I met him virtually in a way because I attended one of his MOOCs that he ran on digital storytelling. So that it was a really nice opportunity for our creative classroom group to have something about that. So I don't want, to keep you long with me, so I just give the floor to Bernard, and I want to thank him once again. So.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity to share my interest and passion for digital storytelling with such a large and diverse audience. So. Let me, if I can actually share my desktop and show you a PowerPoint presentation that I have. So let me do slideshow mode. Hold 1 second. This is can you let me know if you can see a picture of the building and a fountain with some water and clouds?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, that is the campus of the University of Houston, and this is the Central Administration Building, which is right across from our building. So we have a very beautiful campus, and it's located in Houston, Texas. And for those of you who don't know where Texas is, it's in the central part of the United States, and this is a map showing the state of Texas. As you may know, there are 50 states in the United States, and we border Mexico on the southern border, and Houston is in the south of Texas. And it, as I said, is the fourth largest city in the United States, and some people have said within the next 20 years it's the third largest in the United States. So it's very big and spread out, and there are many, many people here. And we have we have about 40,000 undergraduate and graduate students who are at the University of Houston. And so it's a very dynamic place to be, and there's a lot of interest in digital storytelling. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am from South Carolina, which is on the eastern seaboard of the United States, and I got my undergraduate degree at the University of South Carolina, and then graduate school was at the University of Virginia, another state also on the eastern side of the U.S. And I've been in Houston at the university here since 1993 in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction in our design and technology programs. I had a long interest in photography and filmmaking and multimedia, but even before I started using computers, I was interested in photography and film. And then I learned about computers, and I got a master's degree and a PhD in instructional technology, and I tried to figure out ways to integrate my interest in with computer technology, and apparently lots of other people wanted to do that as well, and multimedia was developed, and today everybody is taking advantage of it. So what I tried to do is figure out photographs and video clips in educationally meaningful ways. So it turns out that other people in the world were already doing digital storytelling, even though I didn't know much about it. I know the term, and I didn't know that other people were interested in it. But so I'll just tell you a little bit about how I started working with digital storytelling. And it's just requested that I annotate the shared content during the session you cannot control. Okay. Start annotating now. So anyway, I have a website, which you can see here. It's called the Educational Use of Digital Storytelling. And I'm sorry, there are some screens popping up on my screen, so I'm going to just move them out of the way. all the lots of the material that I'm going to talk about today is on my website, the Educational Uses of Digital Storytelling, and I'll show you how to get to that. And I'll talk a little bit about the digital storytelling process that we use and how we, our students and I, work on digital storytelling projects that support teaching and learning, and how we integrate educational materials into the digital storytelling process, and also share some lessons I've learned from teaching digital storytelling. And finally, at the end, I will talk a little bit about the massive open online course, the MOOC, that we offer for digital storytelling, in case anyone's interested in that. So, for those of you who are new to digital storytelling, and I said, Irene, just put the link up, get to the digital storytelling website. There are different definitions for digital storytelling, but in general, they all revolve around the idea of mixing graphics, text, audio narration, sometimes music, sometimes video clips on a particular topic, and for just a few minutes to create a little mini documentary or a little video story. And it's pretty simple conceptually to think about how everybody tells stories to each other, and digital storytelling is just an extension of telling stories, but using computer tools and resources to do that. And in an educational context, I've studied and looked at and encouraged my students and other educators to look at ways to use this digital storytelling in a classroom setting so that they can engage students and keep them interested in learning new content. So digital stories share a number of common elements, and I talk just about the educational digital story. So they have to have a purpose that some relevance to education. There's all of the stories are narrated in first-person voice, and so there's the narrator point of view. There's often a dramatic question or a series of questions, different content that's presented that the developer of the story is on. There's the clarity of voice, the pacing of the narrative. Is optional for the stories that create, but I encourage them to look for copyright-free music, and there are lots of places to get that. And if it's in the right way, then music can actually enhance a story significantly, as can the quality of the images. And so, being I was interested in photography, I encourage my students to take their own pictures, but if not, they can look for images that can on the web. So other items, I'm going to move on. Sorry, computer wants to go annotating and doesn't let me move forward. So anyway, what I've done is I got into storytelling, so I now teach graduate courses in digital storytelling. I conduct seminars and workshops. I write articles and have written several book chapters. And my students, my grad students, have done research with me on the effectiveness of digital storytelling. And all of these activities revolve around how digital storytelling can be used to make teachers more effective and help students learn more effectively. The website, as Irene said, has a lot of material on it, example digital stories, information about software that can be used, example projects, tutorials on how to get started with digital storytelling. And the book is here, and also Irene put it up. But the other thing you can do is you can just use a search engine and search for digital storytelling, and you should find our site. If you want to, you can add the word education to your search term and using Google or Bing or Yahoo or any popular search engine that you might be interested in. They all should have our website show up pretty close to the top. So it's the educational uses of storytelling. Someone has asked if it's possible to receive the slides, and I will send Irene a PDF file of all of my material, and she can distribute that as well. So there are different types of digital stories, and I've categorized them into 3 different major categories. The first is personal narratives. These can be stories about people or places that are important in our lives, accomplishments, challenges, recovery from or any kind of trauma or challenge, memorial stories to people that were influential in our lives. And I have found that students, some cultures, they're open to talking about themselves, and so it's difficult for them, but we try to engage them in picking out something that they're willing to share. And we have very multicultural students at our university, as I mentioned, and so when they share details about their lives, it facilitates exploration and investigation into the different cultural aspects of our student population, and we find that it's a really good way for students with different backgrounds to get to know each other and share common themes and elements. I will say that I asked not to show example digital stories, so I a YouTube channel and put all of the digital stories that I'm going to talk about on the YouTube channel, and this is a link that goes directly to those stories. And so if you go to video/ and it's capital DS Digital Stories 2016, then you'll be able to watch these videos on your own in their entirety. So that's a good URL to write down. To my YouTube channel is youtube.com/user/BRR2T. So let me check this out. I'll just go ahead and write that down for you. Let me here. So user BRR2T. And you may write that one down as well. Talk about the MOOC that I've created with some of my colleagues and graduate students, then you'll be able to see all of the videos from the MOOC on my YouTube channel. So I'll talk more about that, and lots of material that I am delighted with people. So let's go back to the full screen mode, and I will just tell you that in the categories, one of the little stories that you can watch on the YouTube channel is by a student who grew up in Singapore and went to school there, and how different the education system is in Singapore than it is in the United States, where she came to go to college. And so she was talking about the challenges that she faced going to school in a much more strict environment, where her mother wanted to know when she got a 99 out of 100 on a test. He wasn't happy that she got 99. He was upset because he wanted to know where the missing point went. And anyway, it's a really poignant story that talks about her experiences. So not only is it personal and tells a story about things that were important to her, but there's a universal element where people do go to school and they have challenges that they face in school. This is a good one to talk about the differences in different school systems around the world. We also have a student who's here from Indonesia, and he's a Fulbright scholar. Erwin Doko is actually a physician who came to Houston and got a master's degree with us, a program that we offer in the Texas Medical Center. And he's on and came to our PhD program in learning, design, and technology. And he created a one personal narrative about his Fulbright journey from Indonesia to the United States. And I encourage you to watch it. It's really a wonderful digital story. But all of the digital stories, I wish I could show them to you right now, but it's probably good that I don't, because they would take too long and use up all of the time. So you can go to the YouTube channel and watch them. They're also available, many of these digital stories are available on my digital storytelling website. So there are a number of different ways to watch them. This is a picture that has been quite influential in my digital storytelling activities in the last couple of years. And it's a photograph of my father. This is my father here. He was 5 years old in this picture, and this is my grandfather over here. And my grandfather had a little grocery store. So my grandfather, and it's my father. And that is a man who worked in the store for my grandfather. In any event, script of this story, and I narrated it, and I turned it into a digital story. But what's interesting about it is that it's only this one picture. Some digital stories last for 4 or 5, and they have 20 or 30 or 40 pictures. But what I did with this one is I was able to create this really interesting digital story from a single picture. And so you can go on YouTube or on my website and watch this digital story, but you can also read the script, because I put the script up. And I talked about how this kind of activity could be used by anyone who has an old family photograph of their own or an important picture in their lives that's meaningful. So what's also interesting is that there's a calendar on the wall here, and I was able to go and find out what year this photograph was taken. And there are pictures of different products. Here's something, Kraft cheese, and that's still sold today. And there are cereal boxes up here, and some of them are still sold today, but others are not. And I did some research, and I found different brands and information. And so there are different educational topics embedded in one picture, because my grandfather migrated to the United States from Eastern Europe at the turn of the century, and so you could talk about immigration, or if I were to expand the story, we could also talk about what did these items that were for sale in his grocery store in the 1920s, what did they cost then versus what would they cost today, and they lived upstairs above the store, and so we could talk about how life has changed. Although in big cities in the United States, that's coming back, where people are now living of retail stores, and I know in Europe a lot of people still do that. But anyway, there are ties from this one picture to economics, to geography, to history, advertising, marketing, all kinds of different aspects can be expanded from this little 1.5-minute digital story that I created. So I think that is something that you think about. And what I do is when I teach my digital storytelling course, I ask students to start off by creating a single image digital story. So I think it's a great activity for students who are just starting out. So that's the first category, is personal narratives. The second one is stories that examine historical themes and events. And this is a digital story. This is one of the slides from a digital story that you can also watch online. called Gender Transport, and it's about children of the Holocaust. And what makes this interesting is it not only tells a relatively unknown story about the Holocaust about children. It's the title is Gender Transport: The Unknown Children of the Holocaust, and I didn't know that children were smuggled out of various places in Europe that were dangerous before during World War II. And but what also is interesting is that the student, from a personal standpoint, because her grandmother and her grandmother's sister were part of this group of children that were rescued, and so she combines two of the categories, personal narrative and historical digital stories, into a single one, and that's really quite effective. So you can watch this one as well. And then third category is digital stories that inflect on a particular content area. And this story, instead of the Pythagoreans, is one that, again, you can watch in its entirety. And this student is a mathematics teacher in a middle school here in the Houston area. Was when he developed this story, and it was part historical information about Pythagoras, and then some practical information about how the Pythagorean theorem is used today and has relevance to our daily lives. And it really is a nice mix of, again, historical and content area information. So the thing about the three categories is that there's a lot of overlap, and you can have digital stories that have not just one category, but multiple categories. So digital storytelling, in summary, can be an effective tool for teachers because they can use digital stories to introduce new content or make complex information more understandable to students. It also helps facilitate discussion and, of course, students to use technology effectively in their instruction. But the real talk more about digital storytelling as an effective tool for teachers. But I think the real value of digital storytelling is not when teachers create their stories to share with their students, but when they teach their students how to create stories and have students, instead of writing a paper or taking a multiple choice test, actually create a digital story either individually or in pairs or in small groups. And that's where I think the power of digital storytelling really comes into play. And so digital storytelling helps with something that a number of educators have been calling 21st century skills, and a variety of different skills can be enhanced through the digital storytelling process, including research, writing, organizing, using different kind of technology, interviewing content area experts, working in collaborative teams, solving problems, learning to present before a real audience of their peers, and also assessment and evaluation. So a number of skills are embedded into the whole concept of digital storytelling. And the process is described on our website and in a number of places, and this one diagram was created by Samantha Mora, who shared it through Creative Commons, and it's very similar to a digital storytelling process that we developed, but they're all fairly similar, so I'm very comfortable sharing this with others, and you can see the steps of coming up with an idea and then conducting some research on that topic and writing a script. We're very interested and encourage students to use storyboards to plan out what their digital story is going to look like before they actually create it on the computer, and then either create their own images or find images that they can use online or in other places, like the photographs that can be scanned, and music, voice, put it all together, publish it online, share it, and then conduct feedback and share feedback and reflection with others. Is a fairly basic set of steps, that are easy to follow and cover all of the elements of the digital storytelling process. There's some other information here that just in text describes what I just talked about. And say is I am interested in the story part of the digital story. And ironically, when I first started, I was much more interested in the visual aspect because coming from a background of photography and filmmaking and video, I saw things from the visual side of the story. And I found out after a while, teaching students about digital storytelling, that not everyone is a visual learner or thinker, and a lot of people do better when they think about the story first. And so now I'm a convert to that idea that the story should come first and that you should write down the first draft of or the first version of a digital story script before they even sit down at the computer. And they can do that with pencil and paper. They can do it on the computer, but before they actually start working with images or audio or music or video clips, they have a story that's compelling. And it may sound overly simplistic, but it's really true that without a good story, there's not be a good digital story. So the story is really an important aspect. And I'm very of having students go through multiple drafts of their script, because most people, myself included, are not good enough writers to get everything perfect the first time. So what I've done with my that single image digital story I mentioned about the picture, the photograph of my father and my grandfather, I had probably 8 or 10 different versions of that script that I kept working on over a period of a couple of days, maybe a week, and I wasn't satisfied with it until I kept working on it, and I want students to go through that same process as well. So we share early drafts and give each other feedback and say, well, if it was my story, this is what I might do to improve it, or I didn't really understand about this statement you made, so maybe you could elaborate and fill in some of the details about that. So it's a very helpful process, and a lot of people who are interested in digital storytelling go through something called story circles, where students separate into small groups of 4 or 5 and they read their scripts aloud to each other, share ideas and give constructive feedback on how to make the stories or scripts better. There are a number of different computer-based tools for creating digital stories, and one of my favorite programs is no longer supported. Microsoft Photo Story version 3 came out about 10 or 12 years ago, and it was really a wonderful tool for the Windows operating system. It's still available. You can still find it online when you search for it, for Photo Story for Microsoft. But it's no longer officially sponsored by Microsoft, and some people have said that it doesn't work as well as it used to on newer generation of operating systems. But I find that it still works well enough, and it's certainly a good tool to start off with. Windows Movie Maker has gone through a number of iterations, and it's a good tool for people who use Windows-based computers. And Adobe Photoshop Elements, which is really a photo editor, has a slideshow maker component built in, which could be pretty good for certain types of digital storytelling. If you're the problem with this, you can't put it on one computer and then take your file with you onto another computer. You have to continue working on the same computer because it stores all of the elements of the story on that one particular computer, and it's not portable. For those of you who use Macintosh computers, and I'm just not sure how popular at this time Macintosh computers are in Europe, but iMovie is similar to Maker. And for us, is we have a number of students who have Windows computers and a number of students who have Macintosh computers, and they're not a really perfect solution for of those groups if they want to use software on the computer. So instead, what we've gone to is a web-based visual story making tool called WeVideo. And WeVideo is not free, unfortunately, but it's relatively affordable, and there's education pricing available. It is supported in a number of different countries. I would suggest or recommend you at least try WeVideo out, because there is a free version that gives you just a few minutes to try it out and see if you like it. But what's really good about WeVideo is that it works on every kind of computer, because any computer that can the web can use WeVideo, and it supports the same features that Maker and iMovie do. You can add video clips, you can add music, you can add narration, and you can just basically do anything with it that you can do on a video editing program. So although it does cost money, and I don't have any problem with that, because I understand that companies can't stay in business by giving away all of their software for free. So I think we have to support companies in a certain way, but I appreciate the companies that develop good programs and tools that are available at a discount for educators. And if you don't have a budget to support that, then certainly the free tools are reasonable. But for us, we needed a program that worked on both Windows computers and Macintosh computers, since our students had both of those kinds. And those are WeVideo is the tool that we recommend for that. There are a number of newer tools that are available for tablet computers and smartphones, and we basically don't use a lot of Android-based devices here in our college. Most of the mobile applications are for iPads and iPhones, but there are a number of those kinds of tools available. And you can, I actually have had students who have submitted digital storytelling assignments created on tablet computers, iMovie for iPad, for example, and the result is so good you can't tell that it wasn't created on a computer, but rather on an iPad. And I think over the next few years we're going to see even more, and that iPads will become more powerful, other tablet computers as well. The new tablet computer, the Surface Pro, Microsoft, and that's one we have not investigated yet, but we probably will, and it looks like you can do everything on it that you can on a basic Windows-based computer. Now, and talk a little bit about some of the projects and the educational materials and activities that we use. Storyboard That, I just saw someone asked if that is for free, and I'm sorry I can't respond to all of the chat items come along, but Storyboard That is not free, but there is, again, educational pricing for it, and I think that there may be a free version that you can try out if you like it. But storyboards can be done in PowerPoint, they can be done in Word, they can be done on pencil and paper, with pencil and paper, and then one of the common activities that some of our students do, especially in the public schools, is they'll have their students create storyboards on paper, and then they take the phone camera in their smartphone and take a picture of the storyboard with their phone, and then upload it online or send it by email and share it that way. So there are a number of different ways that can be done. In any case, I want to talk a little bit about how my philosophy of digital storytelling has changed a little bit over the last few years, and now what I ask students to do is create not just a digital story, but a set of educational materials that can supplement that story. And on our digital storytelling website, I have some examples from some a science teacher in one of the public schools who got her students to do a series of digital stories on scientific method, and she put up a number of resources to go along with that. So if you take a look at this link at the bottom page, you'll be able to see some of that material, and I think it's really helpful. In addition, I'll scroll through this to show you, she put up some lesson planning type material for teachers, and she put up an assessment rubric, and there are a number of supplemental education materials that we've put up on our website to share with the digital story, so you can watch the story and then you can look at the materials that the student developed to supplement that. And we've also done work, and I've had some of my students do some research on the assessment and evaluation digital storytelling. So we look at it now. I'll cycle through here. Traditionally, we've used a grading rubric. We assign points for different categories of the digital story or digital storytelling project that students create. And rubrics are up on our website, this one and a number of others where you can look at. And I have circles where students give feedback and share their drafts or their scripts, so that's part of the process that you might want to integrate into your digital storytelling training. What we've done is we've kind of gone away from the traditional rubric and instead gone to more process of assessment and evaluation. And there's an article, I think it's up on my as well, or the link to it, but if not, you can email me and I'll send you a copy of it, that looks at the evaluation from the three different endpoints. The person who created the story, while they're designing the digital telling project, and the during process, and then after the project is completed. And so these are the three phases, and then the different evaluators are the person creating the story, the students in a course, let's say, the creator's peers, and then the instructor. And so at three different points along the way, students get evaluated on what they're doing and how to make improvements so that at the end they can improve their project. And we've had success with this, and as I said, we wrote a little about this. My colleague and I, Sarah Neal, wrote a paper about this, and I'll be happy to share that with you. We have conducted research studies on our students' reactions to their digital storytelling projects. So one of the ways that I've gathered data for that project was to ask students at the end of a course or a workshop or any kind of digital storytelling training, I asked them to fill out the answer to a series of questions, and you can see the questions here. Mostly I'm interested in what are the most significant things that they learned from participating in a digital storytelling project, and how do I think they will, or how they think that they will continue to use digital storytelling in the future. So, a lot of information about that and quotes from students on how they've evolved in their thinking, that they heard digital storytelling before they actually took the course, and they thought it was just a hobby or something that might be fun, and then they about ways that they can use digital storytelling in their professional lives. And this one is this quote is from a first-year tenure-track faculty member at another university here in the Houston area. So, as I mentioned, I have doctoral students that have conducted research, and they have done dissertation studies, and I've had several that are listed here. And go into really very deep analysis of digital storytelling. And so if you do a search on Google Scholar, for example, and look for storytelling dissertations and research studies, you'll find, and we have a section on our website where we also have information like that. We also participated a few years ago in conducting a global online survey about digital storytelling, and got lots of responses from people around the world to look at how, if they were using digital storytelling, and if so, how, and if not, might be doing it in the future. And so we got respondents from all over the world: Korea, Finland, the Netherlands, the U.S., UK, Canada, Egypt, Norway, Ireland, and that information is up on our website as well. I don't have a lot of time, so I'll just quickly run through some of the lessons that we've learned from digital storytelling, and this also is based on an article that my colleague Sarah McNeil and I wrote. And so some of the important things are to think about who the audience is when you first are putting together the script for a digital story, and adding the personal element and providing useful and supportive feedback to your peers. Use high quality and interesting images, use meaningful file names for images. That one I think is pretty important, but gets neglected a lot of times. Create a good storyboard before the actual development of the story begins. Organize all of the materials in an easy to find location. Save your work early and often. High quality audio is very important. Address issues of copyright. In the United States, we have something called educational fair use. I'm not sure how many countries in Europe have that. So we're much more interested nowadays in looking at how our students can find copyright-free materials that are either in Creative Commons or the public domain, or content that they create themselves. And that's especially true with images. Taking them with a digital camera is an easy way to overcome any copyright issues for images. I also think that developing educational materials to go along with the digital story is really important, and something that included in any digital storytelling project. Our has been offered 3 times now, and I think at some point in the next year or so, it's probably going to go to an on-demand version. So right now, it's offered for 5 weeks or 6 or 7 weeks, once a year, twice a year, and Coursera is the company that we developed our MOOC for, and the link is, if you just go to Coursera.org and type in digital storytelling, to our digital storytelling MOOC. But as I mentioned, if you go to the YouTube channel and youtube.com/user/BRR2T, then you'll be able to watch all of the training videos from the MOOC. And that's the majority of the content that was presented to MOOC's participants are through those instructional videos. And this is just what one of the week 1 weeks looks like. I have, and this is a picture of the YouTube channel where you'll see they're separated by weeks, and there's a little arrow over here on the right side of each column where you can access even more videos. So, and if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see all of those videos. I'm going to close by saying we do have an international student population, as I mentioned, who And this small group of students helped us develop our MOOCs. And so we have Erwin from Indonesia and Arthur from the Philippines, Robbie from India, Deng from Vietnam, and Abel from Kenya, who work with us and helps with our project. So that's basically it. Again, there is the website that I want you to go look at, and there is my email address if you want to contact me, and would be happy to share any further information I can with you about digital storytelling.
A lot, Bernard. Many information, many links. I think we will all need some, time to explore all these.
Yes.
I don't know if there are any questions. I saw some questions before, but I remember saying if you're going to repeat and when this MOOC on digital storytelling.
Don't have a set time. We ended 2 weeks ago. So we had a session that started in January that ended, I think, on March the 9th or something like that. And generally, we try to offer it. In the past, we've tried to offer it at least a year and sometimes twice a year. But what Coursera is interested in is having it be on demand so that it's available all the time. And that's what we're working on. And I think probably by this summer or the fall, it'll go to an on-demand schedule, and it will be. I don't think you can start at any particular time, but you can probably start within a couple of weeks of the next iteration. So, it's challenging to offer it so that some people can start today, and other people can start later, and other people a week later, and then 3 weeks after that. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to have people sign up for it, and they'll say, okay, the next starting point for you would be in 11 days or something like that. That way, at least people don't have to wait a year or many months for it to start. So, but in the meantime, as I said, since all of the tutorial videos that we use are available on the YouTube channel, I think that for people who want to go ahead and get a head start, watch those videos in the order that they're up on the YouTube channel. That might give you a really good feel for what kind of information is presented in the MOOC, and you might be able to organize a study group. Or I have teachers from different places tell me that they had students participate in the MOOC as part of a classroom activity. So an enterprising instructor could probably do that on their own if they pre-watched the videos and then shared that information with their students. So I'd be happy to hear more and converse with anyone who has ideas about how to do that.
Right, and I just try, to read the chat that goes quite quickly, and I see that they are already looking for partners who would like to work on a project, in eTwinning about digital storytelling. So
Great.
Information and emails, as I can see. I don't know if there is any question. I saw before one if you think that a storyboard needs to be created digitally. It can be or something like that. I suppose this was the question.
Let me just say about storyboards. I think what's really important to have especially who are creating digital stories create a storyboard which helps them focus their ideas and plan and organize what they're going to do before they sit down at the computer to do it. And so whether it's just text description that's written as a text document or a Word document, or it could be in Excel in a table form with cells that say slide 1 will do this and slide 2 will be this, or done in PowerPoint and make it very visual, or done in Word with a table form where you've got the script on one side and you've got images on the other side. There are lots of storyboard templates out there, and some of them are available for free on our website under the how-to section. And then there's an instructional video on how to created a storyboard on my YouTube channel that's from the MOOC. The important thing is to do it, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be high-tech. It just, the act of physically organizing your thoughts and ideas before you start to put things together is what's important. And it's very simple to create a storyboard on paper with a pencil or a pen or whatever, and then take a picture of it if you want to share it digitally, or scan it, or just in a classroom, don't make it digital. I think the digital part is as important as just the act of creating the storyboard.
Mm-hmm. Last question I saw before is if you believe that WeVideo is better than iMovie.
Personally, I think that they're about the same. I think that the reason that I would recommend video, if you're only doing it for yourself and you already have iMovie, I think that's the program you should use. But if you're trying to do this with a number of people or a group of students that are at different locations or have access to different types of computers, then WeVideo is a good choice because it works for anyone. That if you're teaching an online course, let's say, and you're not seeing your students in person, and you have no control over the technology that they have, WeVideo is a good choice because you can tell them, for just $1 a month, they can get a subscription to WeVideo, an education subscription, and give them plenty of time to use the program. And there are a lot of good tutorials on how to use it. That's a good choice. But if you already have a tool and you're just wanting to use that, then there's reason to get money for WeVideo. As I said, the main reason we like it is because we have students who have Macintosh computers and some who have Windows computers, and WeVideo works identically for both. And there are very few programs that work identically on Mac and computers.
She's asking if she can register again to the MOOC because she registered before but she didn't have the time to follow it. I suppose no problem with that, right?
Absolutely. The next time it's available.
Okay. So I don't know if I can't see other questions. I think, we really need time because it was quite a lot of material. So we will have your presentation so everybody will have the presentation. It will be easier, to go around all these links and suggestions.
So I just thought of something that probably would have been helpful to do this time, but we did do it. But maybe if we repeat this time, since people register in advance, we send them the link to the website and to the YouTube channel, and they could watch the stories in advance, and then we could talk about them that way. And so that might be better. It's difficult to share my passion for digital stories without actually showing some of the stories because they're very compelling. And, the thing about digital storytelling, I think, that makes it really interesting is that students grew up with technology. They've grown up watching things on computer screens and television screens, and they're drawn to screen. So if you can present really interesting educational content in a digital story format, students are going to pay attention to it because they're already very tuned in to watching things on the screen. And that's the challenge for us as educators. It's how we make stories that approach learning and encourage students to want to learn more and explore more. And I think the act of creating a digital story is really something that students will hold to for many years in the future, because I just remember, like an M we took 5 years ago. But if we worked on a digital story project that lasted for a few weeks, and the students were very, very excited about the results, and they shared it with their friends and their family members, I'm thinking even 25 years later, they would still remember that and what about it. So I think that there's a real power to digital storytelling that is just now starting to be tapped in classrooms around the world.
And the last question from Alenka is asking if videos are also digital stories.
Well, I think it's on the video, but yeah, absolutely. There are, some of our digital story examples use video clips, and some of them use just still images. Some of them combine the two. And some are just, in fact, a few are just videos, and that's it. But it's really about who created it, how they created it, who the audience was, what the content is. A talk, for example, is not a story. It's someone who's standing before an audience talking about something they're interested in, but it's not really a digital story. And so in my course, in the early part of my course, what I ask students to do is go out on the web and find an example of something that is a digital story and something that's not a digital story, and talk about why they think it is, why is it a digital story, and why is the other one not. And so we start to deconstruct the elements and figure out, well, what is the difference between a TED Talk or a PowerPoint presentation that's been saved as a video, or any of the millions of videos that are available on YouTube or Vimeo or some of the other video sharing sites. But really, there's no perfect answer to this is a digital story and this isn't. Sometimes we, as educators and reasonable people, need to make those decisions ourselves.
Great. I think that were our questions. So I would like to thank you. As you can see, we were really full and they were really interested in this presentation. I'm just checking because they're exchanging addresses and websites and different things. So it's nice of the sharing that it's going on in the chat. So thank you very much, Bernard, for doing that, for organizing.
It's been my pleasure.
And so I would like to say goodbye to everyone and really take care. It was really nice, expert talk and really, reviving with all the things happening today. So it was really a great opportunity you all here around and all your enthusiasm. So have a good night and have a great day because it's the day.
Okay, time for us. All right, you have a good night, and hopefully I'll see you again online sometime soon.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.